Hello guys and girls, what is going on? Today for you I have this really cool phone to show off. It's the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I mean, just look at this thing, it looks awesome. I have the silicone case on this one. This is the red silicone case, the product red series. And of course the phone itself is actually the silver version, which I'm going to showcase to you right now without the actual case, so you can see how great it looks. And honestly, it looks awesome. Just look at the design of this thing. And you have the Apple logo here. I don't know how visible that is. You have the triple camera array system. Here you have the LiDAR sensor. And with the LiDAR sensor, you also have a flash, which is actually pretty powerful on the front. Of course, a very beautiful 6.7-inch display that gets quite bright at like 800 nits, typical. That's what Apple claims. I haven't been able to test this out, but as you can see, it's quite the beautiful device. So you just slap on the case here to protect the fucking thing, because I bought the 520GB version and it's pretty expensive. And while I do that, here you should see a quick animation that showcases that it's connected with the... Interesting. It used to showcase it, but why is it not showcasing it now? I don't know. So let's try this again, and hopefully this time it will actually work. Sorry, it's kind of hard to take off the case. Let's see. Close the navigation here. Close the password. And what we're doing... Oh, see? There it is. Starts red. There's a NFC chip inside, I'm guessing, so it shows this off. So this is gonna be my first impressions video. I've kept the phone for a couple of days now, like 4. And I'm actually quite impressed by what it can offer. I'm gonna talk about the bad stuff first, because there's actually a little bit of them. The first thing is actually software experience-wise. As somebody coming from an Android phone and someone who hasn't used an iPhone in a really long time, basically since the iPhone 4, I was a little bit, thrown into the shadows, basically, with the iOS experience. And one thing that first bugged me is the way to turn off the display auto brightness. So, you think that this option is something in like display in the settings menu. It turns out it's not. So I went to the display settings menu. I was looking at all the shit there and I was like, well, what the hell is going on? I cannot turn off the auto brightness. Why? So after reading some on the internet, basically taking me like half an hour and finding on some Reddit thread, somebody claiming the way to actually fix this, you have to go to the accessibility options, which to me is weird. Why would you go to the accessibility options to turn off auto brightness? So the auto brightness toggle is in the accessibility options. This is somebody who's coming from an Android device. This thing would be ultra easy for me to find on any Android device, because it's always under display in the Android user interface when it's on the when it's in the settings. But anyway, I'm not gonna rant too much about that. Second thing, it charges slowly. I even bought this MagSafe new kind of adapter thing. It's really nice. I don't know if I can show it in the camera. And the device charges really slowly, both with the MagSafe charger and even with a 20-watt power delivery charger that I also had to buy specifically for this iPhone. So with the MagSafe charger, we're talking really slow charging speed. Even though the charger is 15-watt wireless, it's 15 watts of wireless power transfer basically, and it uses magnets to attach to the back of the phone. It takes more than 3 hours to charge the iPhone 12 Pro Max's battery. So if you want to go wireless, it's not the MagSafe charger you want to be going for. Quite honestly, I think there may be 10-watt chargers out there that can actually charge the iPhone Pro Max faster than the MagSafe charger. It actually got close to 4 hours until it actually charged to 100%, which is baffling. Nobody's going to want a 4-hour charging at all. Even though Apple used to include only a 5-watt charger in their iPhone lineup, I'm guessing most people went out and bought a faster charger. So anyway, charging speed really slow. Of course, the user experience, as someone coming from Android, is a little bit bugging me on a couple of issues, not just this automatic screen brightness. Then there is the flash problem. So basically, if you use the phone for any amount of time and it gets just a little bit hot, when you go into the camera application, you want to take a picture with the flash on, you cannot do that. You cannot do that because the phone itself would say it's overheating and you cannot use the flash during this period of time. So I went outside in the fucking cold, like 2 degrees outside, and waited 20 minutes in the cold for the phone to kind of sort of cooldown, so I would be able to use the flash and take a couple of nighttime shots with the flash to just see how it would look. Just because I was bothered by the fact that I couldn't use the flash whenever I wanted to, something that would never happen to me while I'm using an Android device. So you have to keep this in mind as well. If you're just using your phone for like 15-20 minutes and get just a little bit hot and you want to snap a picture in the dark or something, you want it really nicely lit, you don't want to use the night mode specifically, you cannot use the flash because the phone overheats. So yeah, there is that. Another couple of things I'm going to mention, first of all, is gaming. You think generally on the newest device, the one you're paying the most money for, that has the newest chipset, the more RAM and everything, that gaming would be perfect. You'd think so, but you'd be wrong. You should go into the internet and check this shit out. I think the article was from Phone Arena. There are certain games that don't work well with the new iPhones. I don't know why, but they drain the battery so fast you actually be thinking your phone has failed in some way. So that's true. There are a couple of games, and I've tried a couple as well. For instance, Pathless is this game from the Apple Arcade initiative that you basically pay every month a couple of bucks to get a bunch of games. So if you're playing the Pathless, which is an Apple Arcade game, it drains battery life like crazy. Also, there's serious performance issues while you're playing the game. I don't know why that's happening, but both battery life suffer very bad, and the FPS in the game is horrible. I would say most of the time it's not even 30 FPS, and this on the newest Apple device should not be happening. I'm just throwing that out there. There are multiple more games that's gonna cause you problems, but if you've picked up the 12 Pro Max or any of the 12 series, any of the iPhone 12s, for gaming specifically, you might have a bad time. So, you know, keep that in mind because battery life is important to absolutely everybody. So far, I've listed 4 things that I specifically don't like about the device. So I'm gonna start listing off some good things. Like what? First of all, the camera. I know I said something bad about the camera app. The camera itself, the camera setup, it's amazing. It's actually one of the best in terms of night mode or night shot taking, whatever you want to use the word, you know. Because when I took this outside to take nighttime shots without the flash, and I compare it to the OnePlus 8T that I had with me, the OnePlus 8T could not stack up in any way. Even though the OnePlus 8T could produce brighter shots, and that's true, just a little bit brighter than what the iPhone could produce on its automatically recommended settings, where it would just automatically figure out if you need 2 seconds or 3 seconds of exposure time to get that right shot. The OnePlus 8T always had brighter images in its nighttime mode, which is also automatic. I didn't have to do anything manually in either of the phones. But you might get the brighter picture, but are you getting more detail? No, the OnePlus 8T blurs a lot of the detail even though the shot is brighter, while the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 12 Pro Max actually catches a lot of detail. Same thing happens when I was here inside. I turned off all the lights. The only light source was the TV next to me. I tried to take a couple of shots of the table from a little distance, and I would notice on the iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera, after I took the shots, I could see the creases in the table, something that the OnePlus 8T had blurred out to a very significant amount, and they were not entirely noticeable. And by not entirely noticeable, I would say really not entirely noticeable. Brighter picture, less detail, and more noise, of course. So when it comes to nighttime shot taking, when you compare it to something like the OnePlus 8T, it's miles ahead. Even if I have to compare it to something like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2, which uses basically the camera setup from the Note 20, not the Note 20 Ultra, I could say that the iPhone 12 Pro Max takes better nighttime shots. That's just the case. If I have to be honest, I'm not really that happy with Samsung's automatic nighttime mode anyway. I think it's worse than OnePlus 8T Pro, the OnePlus 8T, sorry, but, you know, everybody's got their preferences. So camera, pretty good. Also, how's battery life? Although the battery charges slowly, and I would not consider 20 watts fast charging nowadays, I think that the battery life on this thing is actually pretty great considering the screen and how bright it can get. Now, in my usage, which is a heavy user, if I have to be honest, I could get around over 7 hours of screen on time, which is not bad. Some of you might say it's not really that great, but it's not bad. For me personally, as somebody who's coming from the OnePlus 8T, I still don't think this is significantly great battery life. I think it's, for me personally, from what I've experienced from the OnePlus 8T and everything else, from other Android devices, I would say that this battery life is adequate to better, I guess. Adequate to good. It's not the best, but it's pretty decent. So around 7, maybe just a little over 7 hours of screen on time and I'm a heavy user, so I do multiple things during the day. I could take some video, I could take some photos, I would be using Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, I would scroll the web a lot, I would go through a lot of sites and everything, because I also want to be informed all the time with new technology, political news and everything like that. Also, I would watch YouTube videos or Netflix or Amazon Prime or HBO Go during the day, and I would do some gaming, even some heavy 3D gaming, but not for a long extensive time. I'm guessing something like 30-40 minutes, sometimes next to an hour. And this in the last 4 or 5 days, the 4 days I've used the phone. So that has to be kept in mind. I haven't used the phone that long to be completely consistent with the battery life. You probably have to use this device at least for a month to get the best reading, but I decided to post the first impressions video. So battery life to me so far, it's not that bad, even though keep in mind I'm not using the phone at the maximum brightness, because I'm thinking that at the maximum brightness it's going to kill it much faster. I'm using it about halfway through, which to me is perfectly nice, even when I'm outdoors, even when I'm indoors. Both situations completely fine for me, using it about half the screen's brightness. Toggle. Manually, not automatic, of course. So battery. Also, I'm really sorry about talking way too much and way too fast, and sometimes, you know, you get mixed up a little bit. And keep in mind, I'm doing all this without having anything in front of me to read. I'm just remembering all this shit. So the screen actually, in terms of brightness, I already talked about, but also the screen itself, it's very nice. It's very natural. It's very lifelike. You're getting really true colors. Now, as somebody who comes from more saturated phones like the Samsungs, and I'm guessing the OnePlus 8T is also a little bit more saturated, and you can of course tweak color profiles and shit. But the iPhone 12 Pro Max actually has the best display in terms of accurate colors. You're getting the most accurate colors. I had this painting right behind me. I might showcase in a video later. And I was looking while I was taking photos on both the phones. I was there, and to me, it looked really lifelike. It almost was one-to-one as what I was seeing with my own eyes coming from the iPhone 12 Pro Max's display. So, you know, if I gotta give it to Apple, the displays are pretty amazing, both in terms of brightness, color accuracy. I'm just impressed overall with the screens. And of course, they've gotten them bigger. Now it's 6.7 inches, this iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is putting it in competition with most Android devices. So you should definitely consider, you know, getting this model if you're an iPhone user. If you're somebody switching from Android, I guess not as much, unless you're really interested in a camera setup and you really want to be taking the best nighttime shots. That's where the phone, as I said, shines. So overall, you can guess how the experience is. Everything else, for instance, the audio quality. How's the audio quality? Oh, the audio quality, I just want to say it's a stereo setup, and of course, the audio is pretty nice. I mean, it's clear, it's crisp. There isn't anything that will like strike you as not good about it. Is it the loudest out there? No, I just think that the OnePlus 8T may be just a tiny bit louder than the iPhone setup, even though they both have stereo speakers, but it's pretty decent. I really like the audio clarity, and also there's a hint more bass on the iPhone 12 Pro Max as comparing it to something like the OnePlus 8T. Yes, I'm completely serious about this. If you like listening to some bass-heavy songs or some shit, you definitely want to go for this one and not the OnePlus 8T, because there, I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. Here, it feels much more powerful. It feels like there is actually some bass. It's not that great, but there is some. So that's how I feel about the audio. Decent, not the best. Yes, some bass. You know, in general, that's what you should take away from this experience. Another thing that pisses me off, the fact that it's still using the Apple Lightning proprietary connection. I was thinking that Apple was gonna move to USB Type-C, because let's be honest, everybody's moving to USB Type-C. But what I'm happy about at least is that Apple is now using power delivery standard. And they've probably used this in the past, but I'm happy that Apple have moved to the power delivery standard. That's something like the Sony phones used to do like 2-3 years ago as well, I think. And I think more phones are going to come along to the power delivery standard. That's really nice, because I have multiple power delivery standard chargers all around the house. I've used many phones with power delivery standard in terms of charging, or if they don't support it as a proprietary charging option, their chargers have the power delivery standard as well as the proprietary charging standard. For instance, like the OnePlus 8T, which uses the I think it's called watt charge to give you the 65 watts, but you also can use the charger as 45 watts when it comes to power delivery. So that's also great. I really enjoy this fact about Apple. I'm hoping they move to the USB Type-C. I haven't tried the LiDAR scanner as much, if I have to be honest. A lot of people saying there's a lot of practical applications for this. For instance, you can measure stuff in your room and do 3D scanning. I mean, great for a lot of people. For me personally, that's not something I care about at all, and I know this has been hyped as some of the biggest feature. So I've tested it out a couple of times. It works well. It works well. That's what I'm gonna say about it. But since I'm not a person who cares much about the 3D models or scanning objects in my room to see their height or anything like that, to see their measurements, to me that's not something that's really that practical. You know, I'm not going to talk about that much. I just know it works and it works as advertised. That's all I can say about it. What I find a little bit weird is the front-facing camera of the iPhone 12 Pro Max. As standard, when you turn on the camera application, you want to take a selfie. There appears to be absolutely no beautification effects available at the front camera. As you can see, there's the flash, there's the exposure, there is the live focus. I'm not exactly sure what the fuck that even does. There's the aspect ratio you want to shoot. This is exposure as well here. This is the timer. This is, of course, filters. But it doesn't seem to be any sort of beautification mode on the camera application for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Nowadays, I feel like every phone I've used has some sort of beautification mode that you can manually toggle to get better selfies. As you know, I could clear the beard a little bit, maybe in a selfie or something like that, so it doesn't look as black as this phone is, because this phone is showing way more beard right now than I think I have. But anyway, stuff like that, I just feel that's kind of that. But the front selfie, when it comes to detail, man, it can capture a lot of detail in your face. So while a lot of phones would go for the beautification modes to make you feel like younger and stuff, with the iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera, the front-facing camera, it makes you feel old. Basically, when I took a picture, when I took a selfie, I feel like I could see almost every single detail on my face, every single pore, every single blemish on my face. Every single blemish on my face I think I could see. It was kind of fucking weird. So it kind of made me feel old. So I guess this is not for people that like to take selfies unless you want to install a third-party application. There are a couple of them. I tried them out, work well with photos. Actually, the iPhone has multiple photo shooting applications. Some of them really more professional than what I guess you can find on an Android device, because I found some of these pro recording, both pro video recording and pro photo taking applications that cost like €40 that can do quite a lot of shit that I haven't been able to find on an Android device. So, you know, that's also a pro that I would give to Apple. And of course, Apple Arcade has more games than, for instance, the Google's Play Pass subscription that also offers games and apps, but the games there are kind of crappy, if I have to be honest, compared to the Apple Arcade games. So that's also something I have to give to Apple. I'm hoping they have more better games as well in the future for both the Apple Arcade and the Play Pass. So in general, I think I touched up on quite a lot of shit when it comes to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Of course, you know, it's IP68 resistant, water resistant. It can survive up to 6 meters of water, but come on, are you really gonna test that? I mean, I have a pool. It's large as its depth is 1.5 meters. That's as long as I've ever, let the device go. And of course, when it comes to water resistance, that's pretty much the deepest that I know a phone can survive. And most Android devices still, I believe, are at 1.5 meters depth when it comes to water. So the iPhone is pretty much class leading, I guess, when it comes to water resistance. If you're planning to go, I don't know what kind of shit you're gonna be doing with your fucking iPhone, but if you're planning to go somewhere 6 meters deep in a fucking, I don't know, ocean or something, the iPhone is the one to take with you. Its water resistance is gonna be great. What I noticed about the iPhone 12 Pro Max, though, and the iPhone 12 series, of course, in multiple videos that I've watched, is that even though it has this new ceramic shield, kind of, ceramic crystals infused in the glass or whatever, it's more shatter resistant, but not more scratch resistant. And even in some videos, people would say they just leave the phone on the table or something and it would scratch. And the Corning Gorilla glass, Corning Gorilla, basically since 3, I believe, they're all scratch resistant at level 6 and level 7 if you watch everything. You don't get to scratch it just by leaving it on the table. In most tables, there isn't something to scratch the phone screen at that level of most hardness. So to see that in the videos, and I was like, yeah, I just saw this guy like leave it on the table like a minute ago in the video. So what the fuck happened? Well, why was it scratched? Somebody else said that they left another phone on top of the screen, and that will also scratch. I would recommend getting, after seeing this shit, I just go out the very next day and I bought the screen protector, of course, tempered glass screen protector, because I was kind of afraid with that. It felt almost like the Nintendo Switch thing where you would just place it inside of its dock and it would scratch the screen because it's made of plastic. And I was just like, fuck, I saw enough videos to get me convinced that maybe it's not as scratch resistant as before, even though I watched Jerry Riggs' video. But you know, I don't know. I just want to play it safe. You should keep it safe as well. Buy yourself a screen protector and of course get a case. So guys, as far as I want to talk about the iPhone 12 Pro Max, I touched up on a little shit. If you want to ask me some other questions, I unfortunately could not test 5G compatibility, how fast the battery drains with 5G, though I have friends in the UK who've told me that battery life on 5G with the iPhone is completely awful. I don't know what the issue with that is, but they used their phones for over 2 months and then decided to switch. One of them switched to a Samsung device, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, and saying that the 5000 milliamp battery is handling 5G pretty well. He's getting a full day of usage with 5G and the Samsung S20 Ultra phone, while the iPhone 12, they were using the iPhone 12 models, I believe. So you have to keep in mind that's a much smaller battery in the 12 Pro Max, but they would not last them near the end of the day when they were using 5G, and they were using 5G throughout the entire day, because you know in the United Kingdom 5G is much more adapted. Here in Bulgaria we don't have 5G yet, so I cannot test this out, but I heard from close personal friends that the 5G drains the battery really badly, so keep that in mind. And it caused them to return the phones because they wanted to test out 5G. They wanted to be able to use 5G throughout the entire day. And when they saw how bad the battery life kit was with the iPhone, they decided to just switch their phones. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. So again, if you have any other questions that you want me to answer, and if you like this video, you know, don't like it, don't subscribe. I'm not posting much content on YouTube, but I just like making content every once in a while. So more questions, hit me up on YouTube. I might be answering the questions. I might make another video. Anything you want me to know. You know what I really like about it, even though it takes a lot of time to charge, I do really like the fact how this snaps on the back of the phone. It stays pretty sturdy. It's pretty nice, and it just automatically starts charging. Of course, if my battery here is actually alive. So I have this really large 20 milliamp hour battery. Sorry, it's showing some pictures here. Let's see. They press. Wait. Oh yeah. See, it's starting to charge. It's starting to charge. So you know, and it takes some force to, you know, get this thing out. But it's pretty safe. It's pretty durable. I think you won't have any problem. So see you.